change up for the Sentinels, as you were talking about. The Rays coming in for the Reyna. That's what we're used to seeing here from TenZ, but opting for something a little bit different. And honestly, I like this pick here when it comes to Icebox. You know, Rays having a lot of space control as well as the ability to use those blast packs to get up high could be a big thing that Sentinels could abuse. But speaking of abuse, it's going to be GMD abused off rip, as he'll be the first pick here on Icebox, and Sentinels already set up for success when it comes to their defensive half. Sean's going to get traded out as well, as it's a quick execute onto B.
See Michael trying to sneak around here to really hold and maintain full control over the B site. Problem here for the members of Gen.G that have pushed themselves forward is we have a quick retake working its way in from Snowman. Kusta able to counter that out though with 2 picks on his own here. Now pushes forward into his own Toxin. He's got to figure out the position of Sick, and unfortunately doesn't have the most HP to work this with. In fact, he may be backing up towards mid right now. We've got the barrier orb that's going to reveal him for just a split second, but that's all Sick needs as he gets his 3rd kill and the clutch as well in order to put Sentinel on the board first.
It's the clutch Sage here from Sick as well as Sentinels, and fantastic round to start them off here. We're able to get the opening frag as well as a big triple there for Sick once again. Love to take there from Gen.G though. Definitely had the opportunity to procure that round, but instead it's going to be the save inside of round 2.
So it's going to be more than likely not so eventful round coming out here from Gen.G. We'll see what bit of utility they've been able to deploy for themselves. Definitely going to be some aggression down mid. Dapper seems to immediately notice that. Dark cover, though, is going to prevent him from actually seeing just how much pressure is working its way down. The good news is Sick can have a barrier orb. The problem is he can't play the angle as well as he did in the previous round. So some members of Gen.G are going to be able to sneak through into Kitchen. Dapper sees you managing it for the most part. He's able to go 3 for 1 on a trade. TenZ now looking to get the final controlling kills here as he takes down Kusta. Another member of the team will fall. And ultimately, this goes down to the 1v1. TenZ as well at 12 HP. This chaos could end us with a win for Gen.G after all things are considered and done. Michael has the outright advantage here too. 12 HP versus 100. Like, Mikhail's gone towards the inside of Kitchen. Try and spot out TenZ. Not going to be able to find him so easily, though, as he's down below Snow Pile. He's able to find out Mikhail, but no! Mikhail gets the win against TenZ. It's just too easy when he's that low HP. Only needed the 1 bullet connection, and he's going to be able to make it. That'll tie us up at 1-1. The lack of a buy from Gen.G, and they're still able to win it.
Yeah, very, very weird situation going down there. Gen.G push inside of Kitchen. Sentinels answer it immediately with Dapper with a nice spray from the Spectre, but it's all for naught. They'll be able to get the refrag, at least for TenZ, but then obviously past that, it comes down to TenZ in a 1v1. A lot of the Sentinels members dying outside of Kitchen in other areas of the map, and well, not enough HP for TenZ to really do much about that. He's going to catch a little damage from those paint shells as well as some lead from the opposing squad that is going to make things a touch too complicated. But now we're at this point, we're going to have kind of an odd buy from both sides here. The Sentinels, basically a full save here, all except for a couple of different pieces, 2 Frenzies and a Marshal in tow for them inside of round 3, whereas Gen.G, a lot more aggressive, obviously. All rifles and that Bulldog on Michael.
GMD still waiting for this aggression from Sentinels. Dapper sitting in the tunnel here. Ready to jump out at a moment's notice, but more than anything providing overwatch against aggression that might come out here. He's going to try to deploy for that now, but it won't work out. GMD still gets the win. And on top of that, Sean finds an entry as a few members of Sentinels try to push themselves out from the A site. So those players falling open up a free plan opportunity here now for our attackers. GMD still holding off the flanks too. Catches the first rotate from under the mid pipe. That will take care of Shazam. Only Sick and Zoms are now left in the play, and they're both stuck over towards the B side. They have no easy way to rotate into this. GMD is still going to be a problem there, although it's like finally someone was able to sneak past it. Bombs, though, not actually going that direction. It's heading up towards Kitchen instead, but all this time having gone by, the post-plant positions from Gen.G, whether it's Mikhail or someone else on this roster, is just so far forward. There's not a whole lot, unfortunately, that the 2 remaining Sentinels members can do for themselves. Sick with a nice running shot there on the Marshal. Able to pick 1 kill up, but that'll be the end of it pretty quickly after that. GMD gets his 3rd kill on the round and secures their 2nd round overall.
Just nice and controlled from Gen.G, not giving up too much, just enough to get into sight and set themselves up for post-plant. Fantastic stuff across the board from them, but now it's down to this. Sentinels finally with some rifles and an opportunity to slow up Gen.G's offenses. Their economy is looking so dang good right now, especially for Mikael, as he had 6,000 credits before he had to end up buying a rifle for one of his friends.
Standing ahead.
Dapper Recon Dart working its way out, and it's not going to be the only bit of action we might see early on here. Sick trying to push himself down the tunnel. There's actually nobody with Overwatch on that initially, so Sean has to react. Unfortunately, loses nature in the process, so there goes the Sage. No barrier orb or slow orbs for the team to use for their execute. They're immediately going to pull back from mid. Everybody's safe for GMD, that is, who seems to be the most prominent and excelling in these more aggressive positions. He's going to hope he can wait out his dark cover and get the pick against Shazam when this fades. See if that's true, though, because he's also got pressure coming in from Zoms on his left if he's not careful.
This is troublesome now for Sentinels as Shazam will lose Kitchen. Hunter's Fury out to try and stop the plant from happening, but it's going to be a counter Hunter Fury as well as Sean pushes forward for Gen.G. He'll take down Dapper, and that means that a spike plant more than likely coming just around the corner. It's down to Zoms and Tens, and this is honestly the utility that you want on Tens to try and handle this. It's going to be a paint shell in right at the feet of Mikael. He dips out. He'll be able to live as he bounces right inside of the box. Tens rounding out, though, has to deal with this Viper's Pit now as he works the outside. Gonna be the screen up yet again here for Viper as well, so making things quite easy, but Sens bursts right through it. He knows that more than likely the Viper is in here as well, and the Boombot will assist in that. Trying to figure out exactly where he is, but Zoms, actually Kusta, will rotate on the outside of Yellow. This has been played out so well so far from Gen.G. It's down to Mikael, and Mikael alone up against Tens. He can't find the space, but does he have the time? I don't believe so. I believe Tens is actually going to be able to get this, and yes,
close.
He will. It's going to be a little worrisome, but as I tell all of my friends whenever they pick up Valorant, hey man, the spike is a little dramatic.
So yeah, we're going to have about a second and a half left on the clock there, almost 2 seconds when he gets that off. That'll tie us back up. Sentinels once again having the pistol, as well as the one follow-up round on round 4 to play off of here. We're going to be tied up in almost the same exact way that we were on map number 1. The question becomes here, though, who takes control of the rest of the early rounds? Who is going to truly push ahead, or we're going to be in for a much more even fight this time around on Icebox?
Yeah, it seems like both of them are increasingly aware of the situation at hand. Gen.G able to take away Bind from Sentinels. Sentinels not really dropping a map when it comes to the history of this team, especially across the last 2 months like we've been talking about. So obviously Sentinels want to right this ship. Gen.G does not have the opportunity, at least in the Sentinels' eyes, to try and win this series. And that's exactly what Tens is delivering with that round. A singular bullet takes down GMD in mid.
Casual from Tens, I like it, but we're going to start to see more frags start to roll out from Sentinels' camp as well. 2 more pickups from them, but they're responded by both Sean and Kusta as they find their own frags. Ultimately still in the favor of Sentinels, though, at a 3v2 right now. Sean and Kusta still left up alive on the attack. They've got the control swept out from Yellow. They just have to be very cautious. They don't necessarily know what the full setup looks like on the back site. Very worried about players that could peek out from one of those lanes and shut down the rest of this play. End up seeing the rest of it move forward here. Sean with a very nice find against Shazam. Equalizes out the player count. Down to a 2v2. Paint shells as well will force the rotate from Sick out into the open, and Sean will also catch that. He's up to 3 kills on this round. Here's the flight from Tens. First kill's a miss, but the follow-up is successful against Kusta. One more to take down. Will he get it? No! The showstopper from Sean wins it out as he gets the quad.
Quad for Gen.G, and more in particular, Sean. Amazing round there from him, and great use of that showstopper as well. Did not want to try and take that one-on-one in any sense of the term up against Tens, and you definitely cannot blame him for that one. Gen.G looking so good so far on these offenses, but I will say the Sentinels have an opportunity on the defense as well. They've been able to battle back and get themselves down into these opportunistic moments where they can possibly win out these engagements, but it's mostly been Gen.G being able to bully their way onto site, get these spikes planted, and play it out in that post plant. Again, it's up to this intel department. You can see how they're pushing through main right now, using that boombot to clear down low, put the owl drone up high, see where these Sentinels members are, and see if anybody needs to take a gunfight. But obviously, none of that is going to be the case. They'll clear out everything up until yellow and use that Viper screen across the way in order to hold things down.
Yeah, Zoms is going to cut off the immediate area of attack with the toxic screen there, and I believe we're also going to see the defenders bring out their pit too, so Zoms deploying all of his utility to fend off that B aggression. Should be able to maintain this for the rest of the round. It was looking like we were starting to see a rotate from Gen.G towards the B site, but that's going to die pretty quickly for multiple reasons. One being the death of GMD at the edge of the tunnel there, and two, the obvious one being the Viper's pit still well and alive on the B site. Just too difficult for them to deal with, so it's leaning towards A here now for Gen.G.
Yeah, we've been seeing this a lot from Vipers recently, especially on this map, of them just simply shutting off the doors into the actual site, just making sure to keep that Viper's pit up and make it to where you can't possibly really rotate out of any of the areas that you want to. That one mostly focused around yellow, but that's not even the focus of the round because the spike goes down on A instead. And it's going to be a 4v5 in favor of the Sentinels and make it a 5v3 now as this retake is starting off strong. Nature will finally be able to get one. It's a showstopper out for 10s. He'll claim Kusta. It's all down to Sean on the re-entry from main.
So many of these late flank attempts that have lost to many of their teammates. This is going to be another one here from Sean as he works his way in. The paint shell's at least able to get them off the immediate defuse. He's going to blast himself back into the site, but ultimately into a wall where it lines up the shot a lot more easily for Shazam. It's going to be a thrifty win there as well from the Sentinels.
Impressive stuff. Honestly, was not expecting to see that when that round ended, but yes, a thrifty there for Sentinels, and they're also going to tie things up. So huge round here for them as defense is starting to come together. And as we said previously before Icebox started, this does tend to lean towards the offensive side. And right now, this is looking really solid for both of these squads. The biggest thing standing out for me is Gen.G's play on offense has been outstanding. Time and time again, able to get these spikes down. As you can see, Sentinels already with 2 round wins from defusing.
See if they can push that envelope a little bit further. Holding on much better today on this defensive side. That's often been when we've seen teams struggle on Icebox. This has been the side where it's shown up. I talked about that earlier during the 100 Thieves maps, and it's no different for Sentinels inside of this series too. Already, the 3 rounds picked up is a good sign for the rest of the matchup and their possibility to take this to a 3rd map. 1-to-1 exchange will be how we open up this round here. Now it's going to be Gen.G on the eco themselves, try and get another thrifty away from Sentinels, but Shazam trying to put a quick stop to that. Deals with Kusta. And in position to get even more than that. In fact, let's make it 2 more. In fact, Dapper, never mind, is going to take a large majority of those last kills. But either way, it's a very swift victory for the defense.
Yeah, Shazam feeling himself there for just a second with that Sheriff hop, but not able to get the frag. Either way, though, Sentinels deal with the Gen.G eco very well. Only end up losing a singular member. So good stuff for them, and they'll continue to build their economy going through this. But for Gen.G, it's really all on Sean as of right now. Through these first 7 rounds, a combat score of, I believe, 369 as of right now. So pretty impressive stuff, but we're going to see more from them. Again, they've been so good at being able to clear out the initial, beginnings of the round, making sure that they know where these members are from Sentinels, and they're going to do it yet again here.
GMD has that forward position over towards B, but won't be able to do much about it, unfortunately. The toxic screen still blocking off the viewpoint for quite some time, and even when that goes away, we'll have to be cautious of any aggressive positions that might have been set up for Sentinels. There aren't any in reality, but Gen.G, of course, will not know that, so they default over towards A once again. No full commitment just as of yet, just kind of poking their way in, seeing what the site looks like, and as well, keeping GMD in position to watch out for those mid-rotates, as he's already able to capitalize upon those quite a bit on an earlier round for Gen.G that went quite well for them, mainly because of that position from GMD. Rest of them, though, not too keen on trying to swing out towards mids. That's going to enable some aggression from Tens. There's a few other members here on Sentinels, too. Tens, though, now seeing the crosses start to build up there towards the midpoint. We'll back away as it's getting a little bit too hot for comfort. Shazam will get spotted out by the recon dart, but quickly cloud bursts it to make sure it won't get any additional info. Away from this, it's still Gen.G trying to figure out the best path forward. GMD has found an opening as he's worked his way up pipe for free. Now, the in the site needs to have the rest of his team support him. He'll be able to spot out one player, but dies before he can make an impact. Zoms will take DMD down, and then Hale able to move in, find himself another pickup here before this comes down to the wire. The rotates are here from Sentinels, and they have the advantage as a result of it. Down to a 3v2. Nature evens us back out. More importantly, the spike goes down on the ground, and a miss from Shazam on the right click gives Nature an opportunity to frag out again. Mikhail backs up, though, too close to the wall. Tens will spot that out, but as he moves in to try to clutch it, it is not going to pan out. We'll end up seeing the attack come out on top of this one, and Gen.G picks up a 4th round to tie us up again.
Oh, it's so unfortunate for Tens there, as the paint shell will end up getting the last remaining member of Gen.G, Nature, but Nature hitting the shot just before his life is taken from the paint shell. So tied up yet again here is Gen.G as they battle back, and they continue to play these mind games with Sentinels. Love what I'm seeing from these guys. Sit inside of A main, toy back and forth with the Sentinels, whilst also pushing the Omen up through tube. He's going to get control of Kitchen and start working out towards the actual site, and they're going to get a lot done because of that. That ice wall up there, as well as everything else, just makes it pretty safe to be able to get that spike plant down. Sentinels finally getting some refrags, but it was just too little too late at that point.
Quick tech timeout here, folks. Just give us a moment and we'll get the issue fixed relatively quickly and keep on going with the game. Gen.G holding on the attacking side of Icebox here, but holding on is not necessarily what you expect to come out here. You do expect the attackers to get a bit more of a dominant stance. So these next few rounds, I'm expecting them to go a little bit more handily into Gen.G's favor if they want to maintain the expected advantage at halftime. Otherwise, might have to work a little bit harder when they jump onto the defense if they truly want to win this map. Sentinels handling themselves pretty well right now with the 4 rounds that they have, and pretty consistent hold for the most part on the scoreboard here to try to keep themselves alive and push us to our 3rd and final map.
Yeah, Sentinels are more than likely not angry about this scoreline in the slightest. I mean, this is pretty solid when it comes down to it. Gen.G have also been playing just a fantastic game and keeping the Sentinels guessing. So really, this scoreline is just a tale of the tape. So what's been going on in between these two? But for me, Gen.G definitely the big victor here today, just because we expect the Sentinels to dominate almost everyone that they're around, and well, Gen.G taking it to them here on Icebox as well, and making sure to keep things close and entertaining.
So back into the action here. Gen.G, once again, that usual lineup we see from them, where they're going to be posturing for positioning towards both sites. No idea of a commitment going to be coming in this early of the round, though. Definitely playing for picks, wanting to try and see if they can capitalize upon the aggression, if there is going to be any. And there's quite a bit leading towards A from the Sentinels. So the first couple seconds of the round do go by here. It seems the presence for Gen.G has shifted quite prominently over towards a B play instead. Zoms has some bit of an idea as to what is going on, so he will very quickly back away before any of those players swing and start to send themselves out onto the B side. It seems Zoms was confident enough to make the call to his teammates too, so the full rotates are on the way, and they'll have that confirmed by Shazam's push outside of A. As they rotate in, we're already starting to see trades unfold here. Gen.G needs to get this plant down quickly. I believe the pit's going to come out here as well. I did hear the audio cue from it, but not seeing it just there. It is going to be coming out across onto the map here now. But with the death against Nature, we're definitely going to need that extra cover to play for.
It's looking so solid right now for the Sentinels. Shazam, though, on the flank with the op. Ten's trying to hop into the Viper's pit. They'll finally get rid of Kusa, so that'll go down. It's all up to GMD inside of B main, but it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Sentinels with some awesome picks coming into the B site makes it almost impossible for Gen.G to try and fight back. Great defense, and an amazing call from Zoms for the rotate.
Great stuff from Zoms to catch that early. More importantly, backing out before he committed himself too heavily to that. Had to try and go for a 1-for-1 trade or just outright die. Playing the numbers game and making sure that Sentinels maintained full control of the situation at all times, which for the most part they did. Did have to back up and allow an initial volley of utility to go off from Gen.G, but they got aggressive pretty quickly after that spike got down onto the ground. And as we saw, retook the site, still had 3 to 4 players alive at the end of it too. So a solid round coming out for the defense yet again as we inch towards the end of this half with only a couple rounds left.
Yeah, shout out to Tens on that one as well. If you guys caught it, that beautiful paint shell able to take out Sage Nature as soon as they end up getting the spike down. So a nice trade there. He's continually hitting these nades over and over again. Tens gonna get a big frag, dumps the paint shell in as well. He's gonna get another 2, goes for it with the blast pack. Can he get a quad? Tries to run away with the classic. It's Dapper to assist to make sure he doesn't go down, and Dapper will get his own frags in 2. It's gonna be a flawless round for Sentinels as fast as I can say.
So a little bit more control starting to drift over towards our defenders here on Sentinels, as they are taking that solid control to round out the half. A 6-4 lead, and only seeing it grow here. That's going to be dangerous, at least in my opinion, for Gen.G going into the second half. What a way to control it here, too. The paint shell's doing massive damage. The operator coming in to shut it down as well. It's just that outright aggression on the zipline in order to shut things down. So is going to be a pretty light bought round in that previous one from Gen.G, so wasn't expecting anything fantastic from them regardless. Now we go into another full investment, but once again, we need to see them perform and hold on here before the half closes out.
Don't expect Sentinels to slow down very much. Gonna have a read here from GMD as he'll use his ult, getting deep into sight, actually hiding inside of one of his dark covers from his shrouded step here. From the shadows, excuse me. Either way, though, it's going to be Sentinels with the lead off picks again. Nature will at least get the res on Deshaun as the trades ensue, and Gen.G actually able to equalize. Is going quite well for them at the moment. Trying to get the plant down now, but they abandon it immediately. It's Tens on the flank, but he'll get caught off from Mikael as well. Gen.G start to rotate out of B and start looking towards A. It might have seemed like a full-on execute, but it's all a facade as they throw it back the other way.
Definitely trying to throw a lot of that utility out. The problem is, though, is Sen gets the immediate read on this. We've got Dapper hot on the tail of the rotate through B main, and he's giving out the call the entire time. So there's going to be a full commitment from Shazam and Zoms as long as that's the case. And the flank isn't even being watched. So Dapper's allowed to go right out, find the free pick against Sean. The numbers have been evened up. The health deficit for Zoms is not going to be as big of a deal anymore, but now it will be. Both Kusta and Nature picking up the entries on the A site. Those are the ones that mattered, as now Dapper is up against a nigh impossible clutch here. 1v3, yes, Nature is low, but now they know where he's coming from as well. Everybody on Gen.G can post up to counter this exact push.
It's going to be very difficult, especially with Kusta still alive, because he just gets to play snake bites all the way from the back of A main near belt. So it'll be difficult for Dapper to try and get around this one. He's already used his recon bolt, so he's flying blind for the time. Very low on time now for this spike as well, and still has to find 3 kills. You guys can see the snake bites already coming in, so Dapper knows this is a lost round. He's going to try and find some frags as he's pushing out onto the other side here. Likely going to catch Sage off guard, but Nature prepared for it. Still walking backwards. He can't get the stop and frag. Instead, it'll be Dapper who ends up getting taken down at the very end of the spike's radius.
Couple of steps away there, yeah, from relative safety, but still would have had to deal with the post pressure that would have come in from the remaining members of Gen.G there also. So Gen.G bouncing it back just a little bit. That one extra kill towards the end of the round shouldn't make a massive tectonic impact in things for Gen.G. One, because there's only one extra player, and two, because we're heading into the end of the round anyway. But it does seem actually like it shifts at least one player down onto a suboptimal buy. They're going to have to work with a Spectre for this final round instead. So I'll correct myself. It does have that slight bit of impact. We'll see what it leads to, though, inside of the round itself as the action's getting started now.
Well, as we know, Sean's not going to be able to take as aggressive of long-distance gunfights, especially if he doesn't have a Vandal, but you know what he will be able to do? Blast pack right into sight and then get shot by Tens. That's what he can do. Blast pack out for Tens to try and hold him back, as well as paint shells out as well. And no, it's going to be Nature, actually, that works his way up through 410 to take down Tens. Speaking of which, Shazam with the trade, Kusa with the trade as well. It's just back and forth across the board. And Sentinels finally getting something done here. It's all down to Mikael, who can't try and win this 1 versus 2. Zoms already has the cutoff, and he'll get it done. It's 7-5 in favor of the defense.
So, Sen definitely get themselves a solid half built up coming off that defensive side. 7 rounds in their favor. We can see Tens once again having that fantastic first round impact on the scoreboard too. I'm going to look at some of the replays and hopefully get a few highlights from that, but it was a little bit more of a quiet push from him. Like I said, no crazy round defining plays, but keeping it consistent to make sure the team stays in controlling shape throughout the rest of it. Sean was really impressing me in the meanwhile on the other side of the coin for Gen.G. Some really good stuff coming out from his Raze. Obviously, we don't really talk much about that last round, but aside from that, a really impressive half from him, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I think both of them are just neck and neck at this moment. It seems like these rounds are just being decided by those little finite details, like the paint shell bouncing over the ice wall and taking out Sage and things like that. It's all up to those little minute things that are happening in between these two, and it's beautiful to see. What a showcase of the Valorant talent that we have on both of these rosters. And speaking of which, we're going to be shifting gears here as Sentinels drop it into third and start shaking things up. They're on offense now as they're looking for a B execute, at least for the time being.
Dapper drifting forward, checking out the main corridor here to make sure there's not going to be any tomfoolery from the members of Gen.G, especially considering this is Pistol. This is where you'd likely sometimes tend to see those players hiding in a hard-to-spot corner that an Aldrin might not always get. That's why he's keeping the top-down view of things. Kusta does see the action starting to boil out. He'll call for the rotate, but here's going to be the problem. Kusta, you can see those rotates are pretty far away, and he is, well, very much alone here on the site. So throws out all of his toxic utility to try to smoke this off, but ultimately we'll just have to wait for his teammates to rotate in. It'll be a full 5-on-5 post plant here, and Sentinels will have more than enough time to set themselves up. They will be cautious, though. Kyle is working his way in for a pinch, but he's very much being watched. However, this timing can work out so well. Kyle walks in, is going to be able to get the free shots onto Zoms, but Zoms wins it anyway. Nature and GMD, though, both pick up wins outside on the site itself, ultimately drifting this further into the favor of Sentinels. GMD has to be the hero here, but no, Sick denies the clutch, and instead, it's going to be another win for Sen.
Oh, that round's almost getting blasted open by Mikhail there. So very close, but the classic giveth and the classic taketh away with that right click. It's not working out in his favor, and the frenzy, it's better inside of those close engagements. Either way, though, a beautiful round there, specifically for Sick, as he was able to bound back and forth out of that dark cover on the other side of yellow, and just what a position to play from him, keeping things locked up for the Sentinels, and it's going to push them into this next round. Gen.G obviously going to be on an eco here, so this one probably going to be pretty decisive.
This is already a big victory for Sentinels, being able to take control of that pistol with a 2-round lead at the start of it. Now a 3-round lead, of course, likely to evolve into a 4th. I say that, but Gen.G have already taken one of these second full saves off of Sen, so it's definitely not a guaranteed round for them as of yet. Will be very difficult, I'll be honest and say, to make this work. Such a light buy on Icebox of all maps, too. So many long angles here. The pistols usually fall out quite heavily. Sen realizing this actually brought quite a light buy for some of their players, most notably Sick, just saving what he had from the previous round, not making those additional investments. The rest of the team buying into it quite heavily, though, and that's already paying off. Zoms making quick work of the aggression that's coming over the barrier orb there. Still, he's able to sneak 1 kill. It'll matter for naught, though. Tens coming in, shuts down those final 2 players, and it's a 9th round up on the board, just like we said.
Man, Tens is running roughshot over this entire thing right now, and that's not even accounting for Dapper. I wouldn't even have been able to tell you that Dapper has 17 kills. He's just doing it idly. Yep. It's really been Tens that we've been seeing with these explosive entries and flanks as well, able to just really get inside of Gen.G's head and break down these strategies, making it nigh impossible to try and come back. But luckily enough for Gen.G and the Gen.G camp overall, they now have rifles, and with that, an opportunity to slow down Sentinels.
Dapper with a quick recon dart out just to make sure we don't see the aggression, but he is going to see it. Nature actually gets tagged by one of those. That may change up the playstyle for Sentinels even slightly here. Sean's also got a very aggressive push forward into B main too. He's going to be on the correct side of his opponent's 6 screens, so may be able to catch something with that if he goes unchecked. Likely we'll see that happen, though. For the most part, it seems like most of the aggression from Sentinels is going to work its way out onto the A side anyway. Even Gen.G is starting to realize this. Sean with such a forward position can tell way ahead of time that, guys, there's nothing here. So that call will be made well ahead of time, and we'll see the large majority of Gen.G already in position, either in mid or ready to defend the A site at this point in the round.
Well, Gen.G fully prepared here. Obviously, Sentinels are the slow-moving offense right now. They're going to get read out from that Owl drone. So much info coming from the defensive Owl drone there of Mikhail. Either way, though, now down to the Sentinels to try and get this execute to go off, and it starts off without a hit. Shazam getting one, but GMD finally with the refrag from Raptors. He's going to continue to be able to hold this down whilst Kusta works across and through Maze. He'll get yet another. Mikhail tags one up for a 3rd in the Gen.G camp. Now down to a 3v2. Dapper finally fighting fire with fire. He'll take 2 as well. It's a triple for him on the round, and it's all left up to Sean. Paint shell in hand, but chooses to keep it inside of his pocket anyways, and really, did it really matter at the end of the day? Dapper swings it, it's a quad for him, and wow, what rounds Sentinels have been able to link together.
Yeah, this is a massive boon for them. Like we talked about already, coming into the half with a strong lead off the defensive side of 7-5, and then being able to push that forward immediately with a pistol when the follow-up, when the first gun round goes their way. This is a desperate situation being set up for Gen.G to come back from right now, but it's certainly not impossible. In fact, we've already seen something much greater than this transpire just on the previous map. Time to see if they can bring themselves together, though, and truly do it. Probably not necessarily on this round, since once again, it's just going to be light investments from the pistols for the most part. But after this, they can focus things up, and there's going to be a capability for them to come back.
Well, as of right now, not looking too good, at least for this round, as,
that was quick.
I'm just going to hold my words, John. I think that's the best way to do it. We're going to the next round, folks. Round 17, right around the corner as the Sentinels hit a flawless. And wow, what a convincing one it was. Across the board, Dapper actually ends up taking up the mantle of top frag on Sentinels away from Tens, who's had such an amazing game, but you can't say anything against Dapper right now. 21-7 up against Gen.G. And remember, Icebox being Gen.G's pick, as well as Sentinels in our first map being Bind, so it looks like it's opposite day.
So let's see if Sentinels can really control the situation here. This is the last big round they have to get past, too. After this, it would be a force from Gen.G with suboptimal guns across the board and probably a lack of utility, too. Going to be seeing Sentinels move into the B site relatively quickly. Pit goes down onto the ground very fast as well from Zom, so full B-side control already maintained by Sentinels. They didn't even have to kill a single player to get the job done here. Rest of Gen.G is slowly swarming around the outskirts, but they have to be so cautious. There are members of Sentinels littered everywhere around this site, inside of the kitchen hallway, the kitchen itself, down towards Pipe. We can see Shazam with a slight angle to counter out, rotates from Snowman. Not able to use it to the best of his own capability, though, as he only gets that little bit of damage onto Nature, but there we go. Then brings the kill back home to finish off Usta. Tens as well, finding Sean. Kill will be able to sneak his way back in, at least getting him on top of the spike, but that's just before he goes down to Zoms. Tens with the paint shells showing up again, finishes off Nature. And GMG just sitting on the outside of this pit. He doesn't even know how to approach this. It's so unfortunate. As eventually he'll get pushed out from the same angle he was just looking at. Zoms takes him out, and Sentinels go up onto map point.
Well, if Sentinels' defenses looked good, their offenses look absolutely astounding. These guys are taking control so quick, especially on that B site. But the beauty of it is the pacing here for me, Blue. I mean, time and time again, they're able to shift things from Gen.G and just keep them guessing. And that's, again, really what you want in a game like this. You try and get some people to pull some utility or do something drastic, and that's just going to forever be in your favor, one would say. So we'll see if the Sentinels are able to do so yet again here, as it looks like a full-blown official assault of the actual belt area. It's traded out. Nature will get two, but they'll get two of their own, and it's going to be Gen.G to try and retake A, as two of their members are still out towards two.
Tens is going to launch himself with both blast packs right into the back of the site here. Take that control for himself. Paint Shell's also going down over towards screens to block off access from that department, and with a Cloudburst from Shazam, it has given Gen.G the room they need to get their spike down safely onto the ground. Usta, though, starting to work his way back in through screens here, making things look a lot more promising for them. A clean kill against Shazam as well stops him from getting any more forward momentum. Tens is low. He can't fight in the open like this, and he'll go down expectedly. Kyle just going to be on to Dapper here now. He doesn't even have an angle onto the diffuser right now, and he's being overwhelmed by the Gen.G roster. They maintain. The defense holds on, although they've got a long road to recovery as Gen.G finally gets another round for themselves.
Such a scary round there for both of those teams. Opening it up that way on belt from Gen.G. I mean, look at how they fly in here immediately with Nature as well as Sean. Nature with two, but the trade back, and well, saw the rest of that one broke down. Gen.G able to recoup as well as take over the site. And that's exactly what needed to happen. They needed to try and use that man advantage into their favor, or at least stack up and get those trades going on inside of that 3v3. Otherwise, things were going to be pretty risque, one could say. But still up and on to map point here. That'll push us down to that third map if they're able to find it. Still a long road ahead for Gen.G, but hey, we've seen what they've done in the past.
So that immediate pop once again from Gen.G. Kusta, we bring it out the pit, pretty much forcing the hand of Sentinels over towards A. Still have quite a bit of a stack sitting outside, though, of the B main corridor. So you're seeing it now with Dapper rotating that there's still a good possibility the teams try to push their way past this. Probably going to end up involving a little bit of a split towards mid, but be oh so careful. Could be walking right into the trap set by Kusta here. All going to come down to whether he can find the impact necessary if Sentinels decide to put that pressure onto him. They decide against it, though. They're moving back away and over towards A. Tens has a lineup in mid to counter off, rotates from that direction. B side, this is 2, so we'll see how the full commitment works. They'll go towards the site that they were forced into.
Well, Mikael's going to burn away his Hunter's Fury. He doesn't end up tagging anyone, and Dapper going to follow through with some of his own. Not able to secure the frag, but looking for it. He gets Sean. Tens flies in. He'll get one of his own. Can't follow it up, though. GMD, which is one of his shrouded steps across the door. They're prepared for this retake now, but it's not in their favor until Nature is able to get Sean back up, but they know exactly where he was rezzed. Not able to try and secure it, though. No one being daring enough to try and dash forward or anything of the sort. And, oh, well, you see exactly why. Shazam's almost in some bad spots, but instead gets that tailwind, able to dash away. Nature now with 2 of his own, and it seems like a wrap here from Dapper, but GMD's good for it. This is an amazing retake from Gen.G across the board, and they'll get it done. Sean with the last frag, and some big guns to pick up as well.
Control looks so strong in the early round there for Sentinels. It took them such a long time to make the decision to go towards A, but when they worked their way in, having the control, it seemed to play the post plant, but Gen.G had the utility for the retake to work their way back out there, really put the pressure back onto Sentinels and make sure they hold on here. Like I said, it's a long, long road they're working their way past, but these past 2 rounds have been real convincing of them to try to go the full distance. That's not even minding the fact they need to win out OT as well at this point if they make it back to 12 rounds. Let's see how this comeback attempt will continue as we move in around 20.
Well, this time it starts in similar straits, all except for obviously the Viper utility being down inside of B long. It's simply just going to be her toxic screen is, well, no longer having an ult is Kusta. Gonna have to look for that later, but he's been tagged up royally, down to 27 HP for the time being. He's gonna need healed up from Nature quite soon, and that seems to be exactly the case that we just saw. Sentinels still sitting on their hands, though. Don't want to push too far forward as of yet. The spike sits outside of B main, and it's mostly going to be Zom's job to try and bring that in. They're probing both areas, though. Still just a stack towards the B side as Tens is trying to get anything figured out on A before he shifts out.
Sentinels are lined up for a push out on the B. Very hesitant about it, though, for reasons you might expect. This is a tough angle. They've got a lot of smokes working against them right now. Currently the dark cover from GMD, but they've already made progress on a first kill with Kyle getting taken down about 10 seconds ago. GMD gonna try and stop the swing now, but he can't land the shots. Zoms takes him down. It's Nature completely through the smoke, but instead gets that first response onto Tens, but it's just a small gesture at this point. Sean might be able to get something going with the paint shells, and the other issue is Tens is now back in the fight as he's been revived.
Oh, this is terrible right now for Gen.G. It's a 3v5 after that res. Make it a 2v5 now. Dapper's going to try and go huge. Oh, what a play for the Sentinels. Right out of yellow. Clean up Gen.G. And that's a pretty easy peasy icebox.